Right, on to the United States now. After days of speculation of will he, won't he, U.S. President Donald Trump might have finally made up his mind with regards to his visit to India for the Quad Summit later this year. Sergio Gor, Trump's nominee for ambassador to India, told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee that the U.S. president is fully committed towards meeting with the Quad, thus dropping hints that Trump might actually visit India for the summit. At a hearing, he, along with fellow Republicans, indicated warm bilateral ties between New Delhi and Washington, D.C., and all this despite the recent tensions, and said that both the nations are not that far apart when it comes to tariffs. Also, talking about India and BRICS, Gor remarked on Trump's position on India buying Russian oil.
President Trump has been crystal clear on this. They must stop buying Russian oil. The Indians have been on our side on various issues within BRICS, including several individuals in BRICS, Brazil, China, have pushed for years to move away from the U.S. dollar. India has been the stopgap for that.
And not just Gor, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio too said, and I quote, India is one of the top relationships that the United States has in the world today. And that's in terms of the future of what the world's going to look like, unquote. That's what Rubio has stated. The Quad Leaders Summit is set to be hosted by India later this year. Back in February, during his visit to the U.S., Prime Minister Narendra Modi had invited Trump to attend the meeting. However, Trump's tariff curveball is believed to have somewhat set India-U.S. ties off balance right now. The U.S. has traditionally counted on India as a potential counterweight to China. However, Trump's blow-hot and cold approach and mixed signaling have rather put the ties heavily under test in recent days. On one hand, Trump wants to court India and wants it as a top strategic partner. But on the other, he had reportedly asked the European Union to impose 100% tariffs on India and China as a punishment for doing trade with Russia. India-U.S. bilateral trade there is worth more than $190 billion each year. India is also the world's fifth largest economy, also poised to become the third largest with a predicted GDP of $7.3 trillion by 2030. Geopolitically too, India is placed well and has emerged as a key voice in the global south in recent times. Just last week, Prime Minister Modi's meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Chinese President Xi Jinping at the SCO summit confirmed one thing, that India is fast gaining ground in the global diplomacy stage and would not be intimidated easily. Washington seems to be picking on that hint easily to bring ties back on track. Well, in a major breakthrough on the India-U.S. trade front, a U.S. trade team is set to visit India on the coming Wednesday. This will be the first visit by an American trade delegation to New Delhi. Well, since Washington slapped a 50% tariff on India back in August, that's under U.S. President Donald Trump's pressure campaign. Despite the tariffs, ties now seem to be back on a reconciliatory track. Recent remarks from both the U.S. President Donald Trump and India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal hint that a possible trade deal could be sealed as early as November this year. Just days ago, Trump publicly spoke of his deep friendship with Prime Minister Modi, a sentiment that Prime Minister Modi quickly reciprocated on X, saying, and I quote here, deeply appreciates and fully reciprocates the U.S. President's words. On September 9th, Trump confirmed that trade talks were underway, which are aimed at resolving differences and unlocking what he called the limitless potential of the partnership. Remember, back in February, the Modi-Trump summit unveiled the U.S.-India Compact, a roadmap to strengthen trade to $500 billion by 2030, with focus areas like semiconductors, electric vehicles, and also renewable energy. American exports in aircraft and machinery are expected to balance well at this point of time, with India's strengths in pharma and IT. From tariff tensions to talk of a trade deal, Washington and New Delhi now seem closer than ever to turning promises into reality. And right now, all eyes will be on the U.S. trade team visit to see if it marks the first step towards a strong partnership.